Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode number 2 of how to get better at Rainbow Six Siege by a competitive player. So today we're going to focus on 3 topics. First of all, we're going to start with mouse settings, graphics, and also sound and sound detection. So without further ado, I am cutting straight to the episode. Enjoy. Okay, so mouse settings. Mouse settings can be a very complex thing and be the literal difference between you mastering your aim and being a very much better shooter, better aimer than your opponents. If you have the wrong aim, you're going to have literally the opposite. So what I'm going to try and help you do today is to find your own personal sense, see if you're overshooting, undershooting, and we can literally adjust to that. So for example, there's a lot of other factors that also play into effect. One is the mouse and the mouse DPI sensitivity. For example, I am using the Razer Lancehead Tournament Edition with 400 DPI and a horizontal and vertical 8.8 with an ADS speed of 83 for all. This is the ADS speed that I find the best for me. Usually people try to get the same ADS speed, which is of course different depending on the factors here. This is of course the ADS speed at which your weapons with different types of magnification are going to basically aim down the sight. So for me, an 83 on all works fantastic, but for other people, they usually try to get the same ADS speed for all types of magnification. You can do this with a very nice website that I'm going to link in the description. This way you can find your own personal magnification, test it out. For me, this is what works. So in terms of any other settings, they're basically by default. These are the only ones that I have changed or see that there is a fit in changing. Alright, so one thing that I want to demonstrate is that a lot of people, for example, are saying that you are going to be literally mastering your aim if you are able to do a 360 every single time. I also do give this the benefit of the doubt because I do believe that in Siege, unless you're trying to show off, there's really no need for you to 360, but having a proper 180 is also a very good thing. So just going from side to side every time and just literally hitting your target. Doesn't matter if you're going from left to right or right to left, you have to be able to do this easy. So also, for example, you can understand if this is your target, the tree right here, we want to go and just flick on the tree. If you're able to flick on the tree every time, this means you are having a proper ADS. If you are unable to flick on the tree, you are having to either overshoot or undershoot. So overshooting is this, for example, you're going over the target, or undershooting, not hitting. You have to always try and connect with the tree, or in this case, target player. How you can do this? You can always play around with the different settings. So for example, I am running in 8.8 horizontal and vertical, and this is what I got used to. One thing that I do suggest you do is continue to play with the same sensitivity. So I'm going to give you an example right now of literal T-Hunt, just a couple of bots with a good, proper ADS and proper horizontal and vertical. This is what you need to be able to do. Have no problem with hitting your targets with minimal correction on the mouse and the location that it is on the screen. As for example, if we are going to change this settings right now to a, let's say a 12-12, for example, which I haven't played in, and we're going to see if this can work the same way. If I'm going to be overshooting, undershooting. As you can see, due to this not being the proper sensitivity for me, I am overshooting targets right now. This is what you want to avoid. You want to be able to master your sensitivity, not having to do corrections constantly into how you play. If you're able to play with a more aggressive way, you want to have a proper aim and sensitivity. So how you can do this is in multiple ways. There is a lot of very nice topics that you can try. So first of all, there is Kovacs, which is of course paid. You can try and switch into Kovacs. maybe some aim training in terms of aim labs and Steam, and also T-Hunt bots. T-Hunt bots are fantastic because this is one of the ways that you can do this easier. The easiest way for you to determine if you are overshooting or undershooting is just to load up a T-Hunt, get into the match, start shooting the bots, and if you are shooting missing by inches and overshooting basically the target, then you want to lower the sensitivity by 1 or more depending on what you're using right now. If you are barely missing the target and it's just not enough, this means that you need to get your sensitivity up by at least 1. And by playing around this way, you're going to have an easier way to pinpoint what exactly is the proper sensitivity for you. Most of the pro players play between 8.8 and 7.766 on 60 or lower ADS speed. So you want to try maybe one of those, or you can try and find your own with what the best here is T-Hunt. Alright, so first of all, if you don't know how to get this window here with the frames per second, it's very simple to do. If you go under the general tab and go into display game info and click it on, as you can see, this is pretty much explaining what you're going to do, but basically you have an FPS counter and also the milliseconds of refresh rate that you get. As for graphics, I like to use everything on low, as similar to a lot of the pro players. Why? Because this is a frame per second game, an FPS game, and the best thing you can do is have a lot of FPS. So the textures that I use are currently on low. We don't need a hard texture because if you see, if we go in like very high, it is draining a very big percentage out of my GPU, which is a pretty fairly old one. It's a GTX 1070 Ti. It's not one of the best ones on the market right now. This is why I fairly use low. I also, the LOD quality is low, shading. What I like to do is keep shadows on high. Why? Because it is very easy to distinguish a player's shadow when your textures are pretty low. So if somebody's like creeping up on you, or he's just hiding around the corner, it's fairly simple and easy to pinpoint where he is just by looking at the shadow. Reflection quality is something you don't really want because some objects are literally misleading. So I literally put this on low, and I'm very happy about this decision. Ambient occlusion, definitely on low. You don't really want any ambient occlusion. Ambient occlusion is pretty bad for you. Lens effect, definitely on off. It stimulates real life world effects or optics, if you can put it this way, but I prefer to get the maximum output of FPS, as you know. Zoom and depth of field is something you don't really need. It is a zoom that basically affects the weapons while zooming. Not something you need. Anti-aliasing, I like to keep it on a TAA. It is the one that is mostly having a very positive effect on my GPU. Render scaling at 50, and also the TAA sharpness also at 50. So this is the minimum output that is going to have on the GTX series 1070 Ti. I have a very low quality PC currently, and these settings are what's helping me keep the refresh rate of my monitor, which is 144 Hz, and the FPS at a very similar rate. Because if you have FPS that is lower, for example, if you throw a grenade and watch the grenade, if it goes lower, then the frame rate that you have, it's very bad. If it goes up, it's very good because this means you have more frame rates to refresh, even though that your monitor is not going to refresh more than 144 frames per second. Okay, part number 3, sound and sound detection. So forget everything you've heard about sound in Siege. I'll tell you why. First of all, actually, we're going to start with the settings that I have, and I'll tell you why to forget everything you might have heard or seen regarding sound in Siege. So in terms of settings, I like the master volume to be always on 100%. This is the audio of the game, of all the sounds inside it, so I want that to the max. The music volume is usually in only for the main menu. I keep that off for stream purposes because I usually do try and tend to have some music, or just for better feel of the stream in general. And the dialogue volume on 50. Why? Because this is the announcer, usually the person that tells you that you have been tracked, or that there is 10 seconds remaining. So this is what you want to have on lower as a volume, because you don't want somebody creeping up on you or running up on you without you noticing, just because the sole purpose of the announcer. So there is also a very big debate between night mode, TV, and hi-fi. A lot of pros do use hi-fi because it has been proven to be the best out of the three, but there is like literally zero to no difference. There's very small difference between the three, and I'll tell you why I'm usually using night mode. But let's start with the first one, which is hi-fi. So hi-fi is usually giving you the ability for like quiet sounds are going to jump out of the ambient noises a little bit more than on night mode and TV. As for TV, it is the halfway through between night mode and hi-fi. So what this means is this: for example, in night mode, you are going to have the opposite. So instead of like in hi-fi, quiet sounds jumping out more than the ambient noises, it is vice versa. So they're going to be a little bit more quiet. TV is half in that between the two options. But one thing that a very fantastic person, which I will link the description to the channel on, has done a very fantastic video on this. There is a very small difference, as I said, between night mode, hi-fi, and TV. There is a huge difference though in the tinnitus effect, the ringing in your ears when there's an explosion close to you, between the three. So the best you can do is night mode in terms of tinnitus. So tinnitus is going to go away around a second and a half faster than anything else in terms of hi-fi or TV. So if you want the ringing to be short as possible, you want to play in night mode. This is why I have night mode, just for this singular purpose. Of course, things like audio mixers can always help, because the fact you can play with the highs and lows is something very significant. But if you're using a regular headset like I am, I personally don't have a mixer, but a mixer generally tends to help you a lot. So I am using a SteelSeries Arctis 5. It's a 7-to-1 surround sound headset. It's probably one of the best that I've currently used in a very long time. I've been using it for over 2 years. When I bought it, it was around $100. Now I think that the price is around $60 to $70. But check it out. I think that the Arctis series in general is very nice. There's a lot of new models, because mine is a fairly old one for 2 years already passing. Check it out if you want. I do highly suggest you can get a better headset for a very lower price, for example, because a lot of players tend to get like AKG or Beats, for example, because of the more studio quality in terms of sound. But I think that the Arctis series is very good in terms of price to quality. One thing that I can suggest is for you to try and get the best noises possible in Villa and a T-Hunt, for example. You can go and have any type of noise, like barricades, reinforcements, running of bots, conversations, and so on. I think that Villa is the best in terms of ambient noise. And now I'm going to show part of the things I'm talking about ambient noise. So I'm gonna make my friend here run around left to right in the hallway in front of us. So you can see that it's a little bit difficult to pinpoint this way the sound and where exactly it's coming from. Also, I want to debunk the fact that punch holes make sound to come out of it easier. So it's the same basically if punch holes are on the wall or if they're missing. So my friend's gonna be running left and right again, and you're going to see there is literally no difference. The only difference is if you make a hole left and right or anywhere, just any single hole is going to give you a better sound quality and an easier way to pinpoint where the player is exactly. So in this case, you can probably hear if it's left, if it's right. It's going to be easy for you to pinpoint left or right. Okay, so same goes for dropping. When a person is dropping from high, it's going to be hard for you to pinpoint exactly where the high is unless you make some holes. With holes, it's easier to get all the ambient noise and all the noise of players. For example, like this. The same goes for when a person is repelled on the window. It's going to be hard for you to pinpoint where he is unless you have the window broken from the outside and also maybe a little bit of the barricade open. The more of the barricade open, the more of the sound is going to actually come in. So let's check with one time. Let's go back and see how you can hear it. So the noise is a little bit better. It's a little bit louder. You can definitely tell that the person is on the window. But if you open the window entirely, the sound is gonna come all the way through. This is what you want to do. You want to be able to locate where exactly the sound is coming from. If it's above you, if it's below you, if it's next to you, in the hallway, you want to have full control over the information in terms of sound. Thank you for dropping by, guys. This was episode number 2. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. As the last time, do help me out with putting some comments in the comment section, which I can answer maybe some questions with, or I can make a separate video depending on how many questions we get. Please do also excuse me on any and all editing errors because I'm pretty new to video editing. This is my actually first time doing it, so we're gonna learn together. You're gonna learn in terms of Siege and I'm gonna learn in terms of video editing. So thank you again for stopping by and being with me on this episode. I want to shout out a couple of very fantastic people that helped me out through this video. So first of all, Silver219, probably the best caster that I've ever seen in Europe. Thank you, man. I really appreciate all the help that you've done with me and getting the stream up and all the settings that were necessary. I also want to shout out Divna Free, which you can also check on Twitch, both of them, and on Twitter. Divna, thank you so very much for being so kind, for helping me with all the knowledge in terms of Twitch because I really needed the help. Thank you, guys. I'm gonna put in some clips of those guys. Please go check them out. Follow him if you feel like it. I think you're gonna be very happy because those guys, they know what they're doing.
Being held here. G2 does not want to give up on their lead in this round too early. They're not trying to challenge these angles. We can see Fonkers would be ready for that, but Crying for now is just waiting as long as possible. Though in the same time, Leon gets the kill on Kanto. Leon follows up with a second one on Fabian. Leon goes crazy on site, and he goes for a third. Leon, 3 kills so far. Will he get one more? Fonkers in the same time gets taken out by Crying. A beautiful headshot, but Leon is still unstoppable. Close to site, walks further and further down towards site and manages to find as much kills as possible. And 4K for Leon and an ace!
Hit the door.
Where?
From staff from kitchen.
What? He took all my...
Oh my god. My... Can someone clip that? Because that was the scariest thing of my life.
What? The one, what's her?
Bandage. Okay. I'll do a jumping jack. Jumping jack into a down. Jumping jack into a down. And down. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Fast forward.
Good.
Yeah, two of them, yeah.
Oh my god, I got 2 of them.
Nice, Div.
Oh hell yeah.
Holy shit, somebody put that in chat.
Wow.
Somebody in